We on live?
We live?
Say hi to the live.
Live and memory.
I'll beep soon and watch my body go.
On the line? You could.
So perfect, man. Thank y'all for being here with us. It's super important that we have faces like yours here in the space to kind of share with us. And I'm gonna start off with like a softball question. I just really want to know for each of you. And throughout this, if you don't have anything elaborate, feel free to just shoot something back and we'll keep it going. You know, I have a list of questions here and we'll get through as many as we can. But for this first one, I'm super curious for each of you, like at what point in your life did you kind of discover entrepreneurship, or if it's not specifically entrepreneurship, like going into business for yourself, knowing that, hey, I have something and I kind of want to do it on my own. I don't necessarily want to be employed. And some of us are still employed, like we're working and doing both, but for you at least, when did you know that you wanted to create something for yourself?
So I'll say personally for myself, so my dad was like a serial entrepreneur. So he always owned a number of different businesses when I was growing up, namely a home improvement business to start. And then later he owned a locksmith shop and like a clothing shop. So my dad's like always been all over the place. But as a business owner, which I respected, and I grew up around a lot of business entrepreneurs also in my neighborhood. So I think that I was already kind of thinking like, oh, this is what business ownership would kind of look like. When I graduated from college, my degree's in computer science, but I ended up meeting some salespeople who were making, I don't know, like what I was making annually. They were making like a month or a couple months, and I was like, oh, I kind of want to do this. And they were like, well, this can kind of look like entrepreneurship too. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Then explain to me how that works. And so I think at that point I kind of got bit with reality for myself, or it became more of a tangible reality for me to say, you know what, I think I'm gaining an allergic kind of a sense to like getting up when an alarm clock goes off and coming to work for somebody else. I want to figure out how I can be an entrepreneur business person for myself. And it wasn't until I moved to Phoenix, obviously, that I just kind of took a dive into having an LLC formed and then going and becoming a business owner on my own and kind of figuring out business and trying to navigate the space.
Dang, that was a long story.
Yeah,
That was
that was
juicy.
That's some history.
It was a good one too. Keep it short.
Yeah, I feel like the black women in Phoenix forced me into entrepreneurship. I was just really teaching the education and the history of the hair wrap. And they was just like, you need to sell them. And I'm like, for what? I'm going to work. I can tell you where to get them from. So I kind of my journey started with me just kind of teaching myself how to sew, sourcing fabric, and then I started selling them in Phoenix. And then honestly, if we look at the structure of like her story, which is now Rap Snobs, I should probably be in jail because I didn't know what I was doing when I first got started. But then from then on, I just realized like anything that you know how to do and can provide to somebody else, or any solution that you can find within your community, within the city, within the the country, you can get paid for it. Mm-hmm. It's somebody that doesn't know how to do what you do, and you should monetize that. So when I went full entrepreneur, I was just at my job and I pretty much just said like, fuck it. I was just tired. And they sent me an email and it was like their last email. And I responded with my 2 weeks, like I'm out. So then I just fully relied on her story, and then the photography kind of came from her story. I was just shooting girls in the head wraps, and then people started paying for that. And I was just like, bless y'all hearts, them first images. Oh my God, they're so bad. So yeah, I feel like, you know what, at the time I was really, really praying for purpose though. So I definitely was praying for purpose. And then Eve Clark came and she was just like, you need to sell these wraps, you need to sell these wraps, you need to sell these wraps. And in the first event, the fashion show that she had, I was selling wraps. 30-day process from that. And then I've been an entrepreneur full time for the last 4 years. I just went back to work within the last month.
I want to piggyback on what she said about purpose, and I think for me that's what the key is. I actually learn a lot from everybody that I've had contact with. Ashton done pushed me I don't know how many times about, look, you need to charge more. And I mean, for real, because I would do stuff for free, and I remember people would just tell me, look, you got to stop doing this stuff for free. But the key thing to me was it was never about making money necessarily, which is because I looked at capital as relationships. So my capital was building connections as a ministry, quite honestly, just to be able to connect in what I felt Christ represents, which is be open to everybody. And you can't have the conversation if you're closed at the door. And so my whole connection was about building relationships and figuring out, okay, now from this, what can we do? Can we create a collaboration? Can we work on a project? Is there something that we can bring to the table creatively that'll allow us to monetize or, provide a message for others to benefit from? So, the entrepreneurial piece, I've been an independent contractor, like I said, through the consulting work I did for like 30-some years while I was also working. And so it was like additional income while I was working. But when I moved to California and came out and stopped doing the 9 to 5, I'm like, okay, I'm good. I'm good with that. I don't need to do that anymore. So as long as I can try to maintain some kind of income to allow me to do so, I dib and dab a little bit here and there, and it's allowed me to sustain enough to at least live on.
I don't know how the hell I'm supposed to follow all that, but no. So I've been a musician since I was like 10. I got into it by accident because I missed the first day of school and I didn't get to pick my elective. I got there the next day, they just threw me in band and handed me a clarinet, and I was like, okay, I don't know. I was already socially weird, still kind of am, but I just delved into that and I kind of taught myself how to catch back up. I was a really sick kid, but I focused on that. It helped me with my breathing because of my asthma. And when I got into high school, I realized I feel like this is what I'm gonna do. I got into college, switched my major at the community college 4 times over the course of 3.5 years at a community college. Eventually I quit, got into corporate America thinking I'm gonna work my way up the ladder, how the thing that they sell you, you know what I mean? Yeah. So the actual pyramid scheme, right?
Right.
So, after about 3-4 years there, realized, I got comparable to other businesses, they gave us good raises, but it's you're living on the plantation with a remote. You know what I'm saying? It's still comparable to everything else, yeah, but in reality the whole system itself is not okay, right? I realized that about 3-4 years in, and I was like, I ain't doing this no more. I don't do this, And granted, it was I wasn't at the point where I could whatever, but I had stopped music completely. Then that job held a talent show, a random one. And I didn't have a saxophone or nothing, I hadn't played in years. And my coworker, she let me borrow hers. And I was like, okay, I practiced the songs, had to figure it out. Missed the talent show, but it sparked something in me. So I practiced a little bit more, I tried to record little videos, I didn't know what I was doing really. Then an open mic thing happened eventually, I did that, and I almost didn't, but I chose to do it, and I made myself do it, and I felt like this is good. A little bit after that, I met Dom, I met Q, I eventually met Anneke, I met Stone, and these are all people who are real pillars in the community, and I remember when we were all just kind of starting, around the same time. But I will say that as far as when I actually got really into entrepreneurship was after driving a truck for a while, because I was trying to find different types of jobs that I'm cool with while I fund my what I want to do. But as I was driving a truck, I realized I was driving that truck, they weren't paying me hourly, they didn't pay me for my time, they paid me per task. And I'm like, okay, cool, so as long as it doesn't matter, as long as I get them done within the daytime, drop the deliveries off or whatever, and I get this much for each one, okay, give me this many, I'm gonna figure this out. Some days I would try to start at 12, I wouldn't get done till 9, I'm like, okay, I can't do that. I start at 5 a.m., but they wouldn't even be ready yet, so okay, let me figure, whatever. I'm still working for somebody, but I'm a contractor. And when I figured out that that's literally how you kind of create your own paycheck, I started, and mind you, I'm still playing around a little bit here and then. I'm playing saxophone in different places, I'm with my band, The Color 8, and I'm like, all right, so I don't like being paid per hour. If I can control what I'm doing, because I like to be in control of what I'm doing, then I'm like, all right, let me figure out how I can apply that
what I'm doing here. And I started building kind of my structure. I started posting about it. I'm like, y'all, I'm about to quit my job. I'm about to quit my job. I'm quitting my job. I'm quitting my job. I don't know exactly. No, by the end of this year, I'm quitting my job. I'm quitting. You know, I was posting like clockwork. And I mean, I think some of these people can count for that, you know. And eventually what happened, I didn't quit because slowly they just started having work for me. And slowly I started getting other work other places. And honestly, genuinely speaking, whether you call it God or the universe, it was divine, absolutely divine. And I might be the newest on the panel to entrepreneurship, but I'm really grateful to be sitting here next to those who've inspired me to do so. Truly.
Community is important, y'all. Community is important.
It's like we all grew up together.
It's literally what happens. Yes, you do.
Yeah, you see, I'm looking over there. I just took a picture of my second check, so I'm really just
But yeah, to that point, though, this community is super important. Like just being able to be inspired by the people you're around and kind of take that energy and figure out how that applies to your life and like what you have going on. One of the next ones that I want to touch on is just, oh yeah, come on in. So when it comes to like, you guys, talk about a little bit of inspiration, kind of what led you to create that and where you were at that point. What's been one of the biggest obstacles, either in formation of what you now have or just along the journey so far? You can pick whichever one you want. Was it tough trying to figure out who's going to file the paperwork for your LLC or your sole proprietorship for your business? Or has it been a journey finding clientele? What part of being this entrepreneur, being this, kind of pillar in the community was like the most difficult for you guys?
I think the filing process was fairly easy. I mean, that was definitely like the easiest part. I feel like the easiest part is just like applying for the LLC and then being approved. I was like, oh, well, that's it. I'm a business owner. And it's like, yeah, but you're not a business owner until you start making money from the business. So that was the challenge. It's like, okay, cool. So my company being solely based around events was like, well, how do I make money from events? I make money when I sell a ticket. So I remember like the first ticket sold under my business, I was like, man, this is dope. And I was like, all right, so I need to structure it because much like Ashton was speaking of the maximizing the opportunities to make money, I need multiple events. So you'll remember, all these folks who grew up with me. I was like paint and sip. I'm gonna do a wine tasting open mic. I'm gonna do an open mic. I'm gonna do a coffee open mic. I'm gonna just do all these crazy different events just so I can generate revenue. And then what happened was, it's still the most challenging thing is figuring out structurally like how I'm gonna function in business. And so that I'm not spreading myself too thin by trying to do way too much. But even creating a bit of a linear focus to say, I'm just gonna focus on this one event because once Poetic Soul, like there are tons of events because I was doing so much. I was like, literally, I'm the poster child for doing the most. It's like, I was doing the most. And then Poetic Soul came about, and I was like, okay, this is the one. I'm gonna shut all the rest of those down, and I'm just gonna focus on this one. But it still was a process of like kind of trying to figure out how do I structure and format this particular event to create more of an experience from it, and even that understanding that like this should be more of an experience than an event. Let me stop calling it an event and start calling it an experience. It's just all these different things that start to happen from a marketing standpoint, from a graphic standpoint, like presentationally, how it's explained and described. I was literally every single department for my small business, which I don't think that most people kind of understand that. That you're literally going to be doing everything, and it's okay. So Taraya was sharing like we want to kind of find people that do things that we don't do because it kind of makes sense, right? But in the very beginning stages, none of us can afford because we're funding our businesses from our own pockets. To like go out and hire some professional graphic artist. So I made all my flyers. I made all my, you know what I mean? I did everything because it just made sense for me to do it. Even though I had friends who would do it, but if they were asking me for $20 at the time, I'm living off ramen. I can't. That's like a couple packs of ramen less than I'm gonna have in the kettle.
Over a flyer.
So I was like, it's not that serious. That's like they showed up from this flyer right here. We're good. Like that flyer's ugly. It's like it's okay. They showed up.
Right.
Yeah, so the most difficult thing to answer that question was definitely like structurally trying to figure out how to function as a business, and to not just hang my hat on this like fact that like, oh, I got a business, I got an LLC. It's like, are you making money? How do I make money? You know what I mean? Because much like Stone said, I'm allergic to jobs at this point, so I'm like, I'm not trading time for money. I'm over that. You know what I mean? I'm not getting up every morning to go into some job that I hate, even under the guise of like having to pay the bills. I'm like, how do I significantly reduce my lifestyle to the point where I can, much like Stone was saying, to just like if I just make enough money to function, I'm good. Okay, cool, this is the bare minimum that I need to make. Well, I can do that. How do I do that? How do I hit this mark right here, that number, through my event so that my effort in business is worthwhile? Because otherwise you will burn yourself out.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
That was real.
That's real. That's
Yeah.
What was the question?
I
again?
forgot the question.
Yeah, we said
The biggest challenge that kind of you've been facing as an entrepreneur.
The biggest challenge.
Can I? No, you already said.
Yeah, because you're gonna take 15 minutes. Anyway, I mean, a lot of it is, I think, it's still a constant. Qosmic seem to have it down in terms of getting people to come out, but I think one of the greatest challenges is when you have an event is trying to get people there. You know, and it varies. I mean, like First Friday is its own, so right now I book bands and groups for First Friday, and it's like its own group. And when I used to do Friday Night Live, it was the same thing. Like I didn't have to do anything. You just show up, and people are going to be there because they know there's going to be a lot of other people there. And so that's kind of a given. But when there's other type of things, generating that kind of relationship to get people to be responsive to, you know, a show, and I'm still working on that. You know, Ashton said he was the youngest person of. I feel like I'm really the young person in the entrepreneurial realm of things, because it's like I'm still learning from these folks on how to promote and get stuff out and find the people to create a team. You know, I really like to have a team, and there's certain things that it's like, look, this social media thing, because I'm definitely the old head up here, and I learned that word from y'all generation. So, you know, I look at that and I'm going like, and folks be like, you got an Instagram? Like, I got 4 Instagrams, you know? So I'm constantly, that takes way too much time. And I'm like, I need somebody to do this piece. Yeah. But it's still it's the means of communicating. I almost had to do it because it's like, if I didn't use DM, people ain't texting. They're not using email. So I'm like, okay, I got one for this, I got one for this. And whatever the next social media thing that I'm on. I had WhatsApp for a minute, and then everybody told me Snapchat was for high school kids. So I said, I'm gonna leave that alone. But I mean, but you know, the reality though is like I'm constantly learning something. I mean, I'm hearing what's being said here, and this is why I got my notebook up here, like what I'm gonna need to write down. Because I mean, you can learn from a 4-year-old or a, you know, 85-year-old. Somebody has some nugget of information, oftentimes, to help you get past, if nothing else, they're a relationship that might lead you to somebody that can hire you or recommend some service that you need. So, I mean, I think the challenge is kind of part of the purpose, building the relationships so you can get people to respond.
Right, I agree. Yeah. That's the key to China also.
Yeah,
the relationship.
That's the biggest one.
The relationship.
Your network is your network.
Yeah.
Right.
You going?
It sounds like you want to.
Just wait my turn.
Okay, well, I'll say this real quick since you went before me earlier. So when I was thinking about the question, I was thinking like, okay, what was the hardest part? I remember when I was first starting to like just play more. I'm like, okay, so now I know that I was always good for where I was at, but now that I'm starting to get on stage, I gotta, you know, get down on like the actual art that I'm doing if I want to present this in front of people. I'm like, okay, so I'm getting that down, okay, but also simultaneously I gotta figure out, okay, maybe I should revamp my Instagram, or maybe I should figure out my social media presence, or hey, am I gonna be one of those pages that's like a meme page that also puts flyers out, or am I gonna be one of those pages that's like a me page that also happens to have flyers or whatever, you know what I mean? I had to figure all that stuff out, and and then also like, with some of the bigger projects that I've done or smaller ones, like I was like, okay, I gotta hire somebody for this, but I don't have the money for that, but like, let me figure out how I'm gonna do this. okay, so I know that I can put this much together, I can present it to these people, and at least I'm candid with them, telling them what I can do, and they see if they're willing to, and blah, blah. And then I also like would take that and I learned how to do those things. Like I taught myself how to do basic video editing, basic photo editing, basic flyer creation, basic social media marketing stuff, like all the foundational things. Like if I'm being honest with you, you know, like a lot of us, how we said, a lot of us don't always start off with a team. I still don't have one, right? But I do know that I'm now in a position where I can help put other people in better positions, right? And so if I need something done and I know I either don't have the time for it or I can't, like I just maybe not the mental space for it or whatever, I know now that I can like, if I'm in a position to pay somebody, I'm gonna pay somebody, like absolutely. Yeah. What is your rate? Yes. Okay, I'm gonna pay that. Oh, okay, well, I can pay this much. Is that, because I don't want to be disrespectful either, you know what I mean? I'm going to make sure this is what you know, but also I have a lot to offer outside of just monetary. But I think a lot of us are too afraid to ask for the monetary part. Right. Because we put so much value in the relationships and everything, which is important, and our resources. But we have to remember that there is nothing wrong with using your finances as a resource too. So yes, so what I said all that to get down to, the hardest part for me was imposter syndrome. Absolute hardest part, because that imposter syndrome led me personally, and can lead many people, to a space of like, should I be doing this? You know, like your gift, the thing that people came to see you to do, or came to you asking you for, or that nobody's come to you yet because you just started, but you know this is what you do. But then like when it's about time to actually pull the trigger, you're like, I don't know. So, I mean, they do this already. There's a few saxophonists out here. There's a lot of people who do hair. A lot of people who do nails. There's a lot of people who, I don't know, design shoes, whatever, you know? But in reality, like, that imposter syndrome led me to even get to a point where I'm like, am I worth the price that I'm thinking about asking? So when I get on consultation calls, this is within the past year still, okay? Like recent. I'll get on consultation calls after I changed my rates. And like, I'm like, okay, I'm about to raise my price. Yesterday's price is not today's price. And then I get on the phone and I'm like, well, I was wondering if you wanted to, you know, like. So I have to make myself and remind myself out loud. Out loud. I am worthy of this shit that I'm trying to charge them. That's right. They came to me for a reason. They saw me here. They loved it, or they heard of me, and they trust that person they heard it from, or whatever. And I know, and it was hard for me because I actually, like, I know I charge more than what a lot of people do for what I do, but I had to also remind myself, just as Q was saying, it's really important for the relationship. So I am not just selling what I do. I am selling your access to me.
Oh, I know that.
Period.
Because
again,
just if we're talking about just saxophonists or just event planners or whatever, there are people who have more experience or more technical skill on certain aspects of what the same thing that I do, and there's people with less, right? There are people with more skills than what I have that aren't even close to where I'm at in regards to where I am, like career-wise, you know? There are 6-year-olds who can outplay me on the saxophone right now on YouTube, you know what I mean? There are.
I know who you're talking about.
Exactly. So,
Jed
but I had to, really.
Right.
But I had to remind myself that it's not about just that solo. Like, of course there's a threshold. You want to get good enough at everything that you need. But then once you get past that threshold, like, eventually a skyscraper is a skyscraper. You know what I'm saying?
Now he over here talking to me, y'all. Why he over here talking to me? I'm like, listen.
So I charge my rate. And if they can't do it, if you can't do it, and then that's just it. Unless it's something that I know that I want to do for you, I'm gonna tell you like, hey, this is my rate, this is my asking rate. Tell me what you can do. That's my choice. That is my choice. Exactly. So I need to stand on that, and I still have to remind myself of that because I get a little when I'm proposing somebody, but I stand. You can't tell now. You cannot tell. So that's the hardest part for me. Was standing on my own worth.
I be on the phone with people now like that sound. Oh, no, okay. I can't do it. I think the two hardest things for me, imposter syndrome, I didn't really have imposter syndrome with her story, which was weird, but with the photography, I absolutely did. Because there are phenomenal photographers, and it's just like, you want to pay me? Do you know the other people that I know?
Right.
But what I had to realize with that is like, my vibe is just kind of unmatched.
Period.
Like you get the shoots and you get quality pictures and then you get me. It's the you. So I think the hardest thing over time was two things for me. Was definitely like figuring out my brand identity. That was very, very hard in the beginning, especially with her. So I was just all over the place. I mean, I'm talking about the Instagram change probably every 6 months. I was from Africa, then I was just like, I'm from LA. I'm putting some palm trees and some elote on the page. And then I was back there, you know, it was just a lot. So the brand identity took me a very long time, but it actually really helped me get everything else that I was doing together. So every other business or every other service that I've had, that was like my baby that like raised me in business. So now I'm kind of fine with it, and I help other people with their brand identity. So I went from not knowing what was going on to I'm over here like, you just need to have a little link and be like, tech speak life, because she gonna pay you for your words of encouragement. And then the other thing, I think the hardest thing in Phoenix was for me to really get out of the trenches of like the barter. Oh my gosh. Getting people to just be like, I want to pay you for the service, not, hey, can you donate 25 raps? Hey, can you come shoot the event for 12 hours for $13 an hour?
No food?
No food, no break, no nothing. And then they'll get I thought we was going to get 1,000 pictures. I was there for free. So yeah, that was the hardest thing, was really understanding like my worth in business, and then like being stern in my request and understanding that like if people cannot pay me, then they're not my client.
Correct.
I barter when I want to barter. People don't force me into that. But yeah, definitely the barter, and then the brand identity. Yeah, I encourage any business owner, regardless of what you're doing, sit down and really figure out like that brand identity and the business plan. Like, because that was the hardest thing, because if you don't have that in the beginning, that's why, you know, a year, 2, 3 years later, I'm still struggling trying to figure out where I'm going. Yeah, you got to figure that out off rip, no matter how long. Don't rush it. Don't rush that process. Figure out who you are, what you're selling, who your client is, and then you'll be good. It'll be easy street after that. But yeah, that was the hardest shit for me.
That's a word.
For sure. I think each of you had something super powerful in there, and in a way it connects to like relationships. And I want to touch on that next. And just your experience each, you know, either if that's building clientele or if that's building, you know, relationships with other people in your industry. What's been your journey with that in particular? Like, for example, let's say Q, you guys just celebrated 7 or 6 years? 7 years. You know, that's something that's super powerful and amazing, and everybody knows, like, I work in 10B, you know, and sometimes those college kids there, they'll come by my office and swing by, you know, just chopping it up for a bit, and they're like, oh yeah, back when it was downtown, they're like, yo, I'm going downtown to Poetic Soul. And you know, I'm just like, yo, that's crazy. You know? It's just like, it's an amazing thing that you built, and you've been able to kind of make this staple, right, where people know Wednesdays is going down, it's Poetic Soul, you know. And for each of us, you know, we have something that we built, either relationships and kind of trust with our clients or customers or other vendors, the people that we work with. What's been each of your journeys with just kind of building that trust with the people you work with or the people that service your business?
Yeah, I think that for me, and this is like the key, I feel like this is like the turnout magic, right? Stone mentioned it before, like, oh, struggling, like we're doing events to get people to show up, like how do we get people to show up? I think that people look at the success of Poetic Soul and they think that I'm like the guy, right? I'm like the Pied Piper. Like, if I tell people come here, they're gonna come here. It's like that's not accurate. But the reason that a thing like Poetic Soul, a movement like Poetic Soul now in Arizona has sustained itself for 7 years plus, is because we built community inside of the experience, and that is like this will underscore this as a point, because I know that this might sound cliche because we hear it often. But everybody in this room has lived in a community with neighbors that you never spoke to, right? That you never, I mean, you don't even wave. You see them, and it's just like, it's the neighbor across the way, because people are just weird. Now, you might want to speak because you're a like type of person that speaks to people when you see them, but you got this understanding that like that person's vibe is that they never speak. Like, these neighbors on this side are just kind of weird. They put their head down when they see me. They're just like kind of strange. So begin to function that way. So in the reality of the event space, it's not a fabricated sense of community. It's like genuine community. It's like, yo, you come in, you're getting embraced by folks, you don't even know them. And so I sat at the door when Poetic Soul first started at our launch. Like, I wanted to work the door myself personally. So I was cool to like, can you host? I'm gonna work the door, because I wanted to I understood I was the first exposure to the experience for people. So I wanted to be the one that's like, what? Yeah, it's $10, come on, it's all. And have them be like, ain't nobody in here. And I'm like, I know, because you ain't in here, you silly, give me the $10. You know? But then beyond that, it was the constantly checking in with folks, and then people feeling like, you know, that they were safe, like in the space. So we created that at the foundation of the experience. And because I had all my friends coming, it was easier, because I'm like, I genuinely like these people. And so the people that may have been in the room who did not know us, they walked in and they just felt like, oh, these people like each other. And it wasn't like we were just cliquish. My friends are weirdos, so we're all like, yo, to everybody, hey. And so I was like, cool. So I was able to build community around, you know, the comfort of community that was already established through relationships and connections that I had with these people, because they have no reason to come to Poetic Soul in the very beginning. It's like, other than Q's doing something, and Q's cool. So we're gonna go and support. And so in that sense, yeah, it's important to build the relationships with people in whatever business that you're doing. You're not just selling a product. Your product is being sold because of people's desire to have a kinship and a connection to like what you're doing. And that's the magic.
The one thing I can say about Poetic Soul, though, like I feel like it's a part of the magic. Like that, anytime somebody asks me about something Black in Phoenix when they first moved here, I let them know about Poetic Soul.
The first thing.
And the reason for that is because it is consistent. Like you're never going to show up on the Wednesday and it's not going to be happening. Like he has been consistent with every Wednesday, and I know he's been sick of something. Right. Within this time for 7 years.
Breakups.
It's the most consistent event since I've been living here. Bigger events, it's just elevated. You know, every year the spaces have changed, but as far as like Wednesday, you can find Q. You gonna find Q at Poetic Soul. That's it.
And that's crazy, because it's like, I feel like you're the only person that I know of that has been successfully been able to put a headlock on the Black community. You know what I mean? like, you know what I'm saying? It's like in Arizona on Wednesday, like I can go online to like these new pages, new Arizona Black moms, whatever. Where can I go to find Black people? Somebody has commented Poetic Soul.
It's because he had us singing SWV together. We became a choir.
Community.
So it's just
sing along.
The church figured it out. Like literally, the church has the Black church has the niche. They are a literal demonstration of the niche of community. So I structured the event similar. You know what I mean? Like literally, walk through the door and just share the magic on the lives of folks. And want to create a space that you feel like when you want people to feel comfortable, tell me to give you the blueprint right now. I literally open the doors at 6:00 p.m. and I'm playing music. When you walk into church back home, or you walk into a Black church, an organist is playing. So you hear something. That's my music from my playlist from 6:00 till 7:30. At 7:30, I bring my band. My band's already setting up so people can see that they're doing some things while music is playing. I have the band start performing or start playing. So a living vibration at 7:30. The equivalent in the church is praise and worship team comes out and they about to do a thing. They're about to get, my band is praise and worship team. At 8:00, I open the show physically from the stage. I am the person coming out to do church announcements because I'm introducing the band and I'm reading the rules of the show.
And he be singing.
And then at 8:30, I'm like, bang, first person come up. They're like, pastor, bringing the word. So the artists are bringing the word and I'm just steering the show from there. So it's just like this whole magic that just works. And that's the church. The church resets this every single week for us. And so I just kind of use that as a basis. So when people have come in over the years and they say, yo, this feels a lot like urban church. I'm like, that's because I stole the church for me. And you're familiar with it, so you get it. It makes sense. It feels comfortable.
I thought you were the Pied Piper. But I know but you consistent though, and so I echo everything that, you know, he was always, I just told a sister from Atlanta the other day, have you been to Poetic Soul yet? You know, it's like the go-to, just because you said, and I didn't know when we were at our place that was, you were just starting. When we first came in with Tendo, our lounge, I didn't even know that's what it was. I figured you'd been doing it for a while, but I think he told me like 3 years later, like, no, he was just starting, and I'm like, what? And so, what was your question again?
How about that same thing?
Yeah, what was that question? How we
Building relationships, either with
Building
customer, client, vendors.
how to do that. So the interesting thing is, and it's crazy that the people in this room are the ones that connected me to where I am in many ways now, because I met Tyndall at an Infuse open mic that now I host, which is crazy. So, and it was just, had done Infuse or meetups when I was in California, and then I think I did some in Wisconsin. So this was like the open mic thing. I was like, when I come to Phoenix, I'm gonna find a church and I'm gonna find some place to play some music. Cause I had, and this is what I told them, cause Tyndall had an event at her house with Johnny Rios.
Yeah.
You showed up, and J-Bo showed up. And I'm like, y'all just don't know. I said, you just awakened a 20-year. I hadn't played for 20 years. I just hadn't been playing. You know, it was in the closet, it was dust on my horns, and I just really hadn't played much at all. And I was like, you just don't know how you brought a spirit alive that had been laid dormant. And then from that, it was like you had a show, and you was like, why don't you come on? We work on a song, and then I'd do a show. I might do a show on Lee Waters that I still ain't got the tracks for. I had to throw that out there.
Hey, it's in the cosmos.
How many recordings? Seriously, there's sometimes, somebody came to me one time, and it's crazy, and was like, hey, there's this song that, and it was PK. And it was like, oh man, I don't know if you heard this song. And I'm playing on the song. He played the song, and I'm going like, that's me. But the crazy thing is, it's like, that has been the key. Because from that, Tyndall started to want to do the showdown at First Fridays. And then she left it, and then I took it and turned it to Friday Night Live. And then just went from that. And then the pandemic happened, so that changed everything. But then Ashton would connect me with different things, and we connect, and he give me gigs. And sometimes I ask him for a gig, and now I'm booking for different venues and First Fridays. So it's like that circle just keeps on going. He sends me I might hear from Qosmic, like, you got any artists that you think of that might be, good as a solo artist? I just met him at one of Ashton's events and talked about that. So it's like this constant. It's kind of great that Phoenix is built this community where it allows us to interact, and really we could probably do more of it, but there's something here, right? Because people say like, well, you need to go to LA, you need to go to Vegas. They're like, no, there's plenty of stuff to do here. You just have to be willing to step outside of a comfort zone sometime and just talk to people, because
That's the
weird.
part.
Right.
Not
Like, just don't be weird.
That's the part. You can't be weird. Stop being weird. Y'all. Stop being weird on the live. Stop being weird.
Right, but sometimes folks feel that that's weird when you approach them.
Yeah.
They're not used to,
Everybody's
because
different.
they're so unused to folks talk, because they're looking like, why are you talking to me?
Or why you talking? That's what I mean by talking.
It's the why are you trying to help me? What do you want?
Yeah, we're like,
I want nothing.
I don't want nothing. I want to see you
Now I
win.
wanna help you.
Right.
Like, you
Yeah,
look
I
hungry.
want shit.
This dude's gonna pay you. Go eat.
Yes. So it's been great to have this network. I mean, even for you to ask me to be on a panel, I'm like, what? I'm just kind of starting in some ways. I mean, I've been doing independent contract work, but in this entertainment realm, it's constantly learning.
Stone,
What?
you are successful. That's it.
I'm claiming it. I'm claiming it.
I
feel you.
I appreciate the whole manifestation thing always,
Right.
but like I see it. Like I watch you be successful at the things that you're doing.
Right.
Like I've been manifesting it with you, for you, and for us for a long time.
Right.
I actually see it.
Praise God.
I had to make sure I just said that out loud.
No, that's
straight
real.
forward.
Praise God.
That's it.
And you know what? And it takes sacrifice, right? I volunteered as the chair of the Roosevelt Road Artists Advisory when they couldn't stand me.
I remember.
I know they couldn't stand me. I do, and sometimes I wonder if they can now. And I had to get on them a couple of times because it was doing Black Lives Matter stuff, and I'm like, all of y'all coming up here, these businesses, because they had business check-in meetings, 25 business come here putting Black Lives Matter. I said, look, that don't cut it. And I had to tell them, I said, look, y'all putting these Black Lives Matter, but I don't see none of your staff changing. Nobody looks like me on it. I don't see nobody on these business check-in calls that look like me. And so I'm like, you're not using me. So what I started doing, I said, I'm going to bring other Black businesses to these calls. So it can't be just about me.
Right.
Because you might not just like me. So whatever the issue is like, y'all have to really, claim this because it's popular now. but you really aren't investing in diversity. I said, and it's sad even downtown, because that's the concentration. I'm going like downtown Phoenix, and I don't hear no Hispanic music, and we basically in Mexico. So I'm like, that's sad. I don't hear no mariachi bands. I don't hear nothing like that. And I'm going like, how's that? How can you have that if you say you represent, let alone black? You don't even have Hispanic culture represented. So I'm like, okay, we got to change all of that. And so I hope that in some essence, we can bring something to that table. But you know what? I have to say this too. It's unfortunate that a lot of times the black artists I deal with, they seem to want, like they famous already. It's like, bruh, you still got to follow through some kind of process. Yeah. I can't just put you up here because I know you. Right. And then you don't want to show up on time, and you don't want to have, why you got to do, why ain't you charging me $300? Why you paying me? I don't know you, right? And so it's like, I want to try to help support you, but then it starts to look like because you got these other folks on there that you ain't down for your own people. I'm like, that's what I really want to get, but you just like can't follow through with on some stuff, and it's sad, and we got to be willing to admit it when it's us. Yeah, because sometimes it's us.
It is, and that's why it's important. Sorry, I'm introducing on y'all panel. Y'all open your.
No, you part of it now too.
I forgot.
Yeah. I mean, and I just want to add too, and it's sometimes like, for example, Friday Night Live, I have certain standards, right? I remember coming to one of the Cosmic show, and it was, I don't know if it was an Eastern, that sister said she talked about all kinds of parts of her body. And I was like, girl, you did that. You talked about that. And I was like, and it's Easter, but praise you. Because I was like, you just said, because some, you can just talk about what you want to. So I have some certain standards going like, look, if you come up here to this show, this is the standard. We ain't cussing, we ain't doing it. And a lot of folks used to push back on like, everybody cuss. I said, I don't. So everybody don't.
That's right.
And so, you have to be able to also assess what you know or know what your standards are, and stick with that. And then the people that you obviously that can respect those standards, then eventually you're going to be able to build that infrastructure. And I don't knock it for those who have, because I'm doing Infuse, and part of their whole thing was there's an adult component at the end, which at first I didn't want to have my name associated because I was like, they do some really risque stuff. But at the same time, again, I also wanted to represent that perspective of the door is supposed to be open to everybody. And so it's like, how do I balance that out and still profess my faith and then also represent having access for creative expression?
Yeah, I think that having integrity is a big part of that relationship building too, and it's important to function with integrity, right? And to be unrelenting in like how you do the thing, right? So people respect structure, like contrary to popular belief. Like we were all told what to do up until a certain age that we started to feel ourselves and maybe start to push back on the authority figures in our lives to be like, yo, I'm grown, I'm good. But then when you begin making decisions for yourself, you still went to work. There's still a history of school where there was structure. And there was now your new experiences with working in the real world where there's structure. And so we all appreciate structure. And so that was the one thing that I know that I locked into in the beginning. I was like, the issue as I saw it is I'm trying to fill a void. I feel like all business professionals and owners should do that, right? Clearly, it's to find I had a mentor many years ago, which is where I got this from, so I don't want to state it like it's mine. But I had a mentor many years ago say, hey, you want to know the key to becoming flat out wealthy? I was like, yeah, like what is it? And he's like, find a void in the marketplace and fill it. And so I feel like that was my mission. I was just like, I want to do arts events. And I've gone out to Dom's events, and I've gone to a few, and I was like, and here's like, Dom's this college age kid when I met him. And I'm just like, this kid has got college kids dressing up. Like literally cocktail attire like Ashton, like dressed up.
Every event.
Coming to events. And I was like, Phoenix does have like juice. So I was like, it's possible. So I knew that I was looking at, Dom's events to me were like the pinnacle of like, what could be done here in terms of events. And I went to all the other open mics and I'm like, they're missing a thing. Not talent, they're artists here, but they're missing structure at like show the production quality. Like it's just a mic and some people going up to do a thing, and like that's it. It's like there's more, and if we add a little structure and a little professionalism to show, then the community will show up to actually embrace what these artists are doing because they're incredibly gifted. It's just that the production is not being run in a certain way that's going to make it palatable for the community to come in. And so that was kind of my thing through building relationships. Number one, it was with artists because I knew I was connected to artsy types first, and I was like, yo, I need you on time. You know, you have to respect the structure of how we do it. Be here to sign up. I just can't put you on the list just because. Like, we have to take what we're doing more serious so that the people come in and they'll look at us and they'll feel it and they'll understand it and they'll treat us a little bit different because the entertainment industry has spent billions to program people, all of us, how to take in entertainment. So I'm like, if we can just, we don't have to be ABC, CBS, BET in our production style, but we at least have to give it a bit of a look and a feel that feels like I can rock with this and it's worth me paying money to get into before I could, you know, trust that people would trust me enough to come in and just spend their hard earned, you know? So that part of functioning with integrity was saying the show's gonna run like this. It's gonna start at this time, it's gonna end at this time, and it's gonna be of good quality, you know, then allow me to have people trust it, number one, then to come in and see it, and then for me to elevate how I was speaking about the experience then, because now I'm saying stuff like many people will say, like, best event in Arizona, da 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 da, and people are like, oh, you're dividing the community by saying best event, Qosmic, why would you do that? I'm like, because it's the best. And I'm not gonna advertise my event by saying this mediocre experience, hopefully you'll like it. Like, what am I supposed to say?
Right.
I want people to think about it in this way, and the onus then is on my shoulders to prove that what I just told you was accurate. So if you show up and you're like, I mean, that was all right, I'm like, I gotta step my game up. Because I'm not gonna change how I do the thing, but then they respect when they see the hard work being put into it. So that's a part of the community building both ways, you know, from just a community standpoint and a community of artists and artistry.
You know, I as a person who was like literally there when you started, like I've watched you build it up and just literally every time it gets better, every single time. Like this past Wednesday was crazy. It was so fun. Like even when I'm not feeling the best, I'm like, oh wait, product toast today. Oh, let me see if I can make, you know, let's. But something I'll say just to tie back onto relationships because I didn't get to speak on it yet. There's a small, I guess, because we're all in different spaces, right? I know that you two both, like, all of you guys can perform. I've seen all of you guys perform, right? But, like, I know that we're all in different spaces, and I think with my level of entrepreneurship, not level, but my lane of entrepreneurship, my main focus is to perform. That's my main focus anyway, right? Mm-hmm. And I want to say that I learned, how am I going to word this? I didn't have a, there's a lot of people that I can look up to, okay, that I'll like, you know, pull inspiration from, or those give to me and people give advice and different types of things that'll help me out or whatever. But there is literally like nobody in my specific lane, not that I know personally anyway, you know? Like, you know, I'm a saxophonist that does like, you know, weddings and luxury events, and I'm in a rock band that like tours and stuff, and I'm grateful to be here. But I had to learn that I don't have a big homie or whatever that's within the lane of what I'm trying to build. Like there's singers who are independent and different types of musicians who are independent, but most of the musicians that play instruments that I've met anyway, that are independent and doing their own thing are usually in a different lane than I am, you know? So something that I had to learn to do was to create it. I don't have a specific blueprint for what I'm doing, you know what I mean? And so I'm kind of pulling from different places, different things that certain like, oh, this person's a singer and they tour the country all the time or the world all the time. What are they doing with their performances? Okay, all right. This person, okay, Qosmic, he runs events all the time. Let me see what he's doing with his events that's making it structured a certain, okay, bet. All right, oh, Stone is an amazing saxophonist. Let me hear, what did he play right there? What did he just do? You know what I'm saying? Like just different things. We pull different things from different people. And I learned now that I'm in that space, I kind of created a blueprint somewhat, and it's like I might not have all the answers, but it's more like it's like a Google document that I want everybody to have access to.
Yeah.
Not just access to read, but access to add in. You know what I mean? And it's like, so I'm kind of creating that. And I'm trying to make sure I'm helping those in the community, and I like to focus on people of color, specifically Black people, right?
Oh, no, that's right.
But I also want to help anybody who's like local trying to come up and everything, right? And it's because I didn't have that type of, you know, look up to kind of relationship with somebody, I want to make sure that those who come after me have somewhere that to start at least, to look at, so that way they can go further than I ever could. So that's how I feel about relationships. It's really important to me. And I didn't have some of the ones that I wanted, so I want to create them.
Yeah.
That's all.
I think the thing as far as like relationships and networks, I think that for me, which is very hard for other people, so even within Her Story Raps, I've always advocated for people to just be unapologetically like themselves. Because for me, I cannot not be myself. Like, it's just the hardest thing. You're gonna get a yes or something from me no matter where we are. So I think that's what has helped me, because it's either like you like me or you just don't. You know, you just don't. And yeah, not or you're a weirdo.
No,
Bye.
you're a weirdo.
But I just kind of have found my tribe and like my network, and luckily I was in a position to where, you know, I had other entrepreneurs and stuff like that, and people liked me, and I kind of like piggybacked off of like their networks, and then I literally networked my ass off to the point my friend was like, "Hey, you are too accessible. You need to pack it up, and you need to go in the house and stop being so accessible as a business owner. You need to get it together." But yeah, I think I always just encourage people to be themselves, because somebody's gonna like it, and then also back to like the consistency with just who you are. So I feel like people that know me know what to expect, whether it's good or bad. Right. So, you know, even when I talk to people and they be like, "Yeah, girl, because I'm gonna DM you," I'm gonna forget that DM. I'm gonna let you know right now, you're gonna DM me and I'm gonna forget about that shit. So I think you should email me or something else, because you never gonna get a response. So, you know, so now I'm just more transparent with, I think one thing that helped me network too is really understanding myself and understanding that I'm not perfect. Because before, when I started hers, I just wanted to be like, oh my God, and then I was just like, fuck this. You know, you gotta pull the wrap off and just be like, oh my God, this is hey. But yeah, just being 100% myself, and just making sure that the relationships that I had, over time, I learned that if I am networking and building a community, that I do want to have people in my community and in my network that are beneficial. Mm-hmm. I don't want to, you know, kikiing and having friends and stuff is fine, but having a business network that is not beneficial for you in any capacity is a waste of your time. Right. You might as well pluck them out. And not beneficial even monetary. Like, the times that Qosmic and Ashton have just poured into me, just literally sent me messages like, "Are you okay? What's going on? You're great." You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, this man could probably just talk somebody about their drawers. But it's just like, you know, he just, you know, they just pour and they just have the words, and it's just like, you know, you need people like that too, that can't necessarily, that don't have to necessarily invest monetarily. I think a lot of people lose focus because they just like, I need everybody to like, give me some money, give me some money, give me some money. But those people will just come. But you need to have somebody that's like your cheerleader. You need your motivator. You need somebody that's gonna, you know, cry with you and tell you that you're doing okay, and tell you when you're not doing okay, and where you're messing up, and what you need to, where you need to tighten up. So yeah, it was just being authentic and just finding people that I just really, really meshed with, and that was in business. I think almost everybody that I met with Her Story was already doing stuff. I started Rap Wednesdays at Poetic Soul. And I want to say, I don't even remember how I met Ashton.
We were seeing each other probably around Poetic Soul too.
I remember how I met Ashton.
Oh shit, okay.
Oh my God. So it was years ago in Tempe, there was an event, and my friend wanted, it was an event in Tempe, and it was like outside. So you had to like park, go through the building, and it was like in this little courtyard situation. Do you remember this?
It was probably his. It was probably at Mikhail's.
Was it? I don't know. And I said, this is exactly what I said, and it's about to be so ignorant, okay? I just want to let y'all know. I was like, is he like it's like rock rap. Like, what? I've never seen this before. So I was just like, oh my God. And I was like, he got a whole band and everything. And my friend was like, this is dry, I want to go. But I was just like, mesmerized. I never talked to you or anything. And another thing is, for me, I'm always nice to people. Because I really believe that if I meet somebody and we have even the smallest interaction, like, oh, hi, how are you? Or, oh my God, I was going to get that cart, type of situation, I'm going to see you again. I'm going to see you again. So every time I have an interaction with her, I try to be kind. And a lot of people will just say that. Like, Anneke was very nice. Or she was funny or something. And I'd rather have that than, like, I cuss you out. That'll come later on. Later down the line. But yeah, just being authentic, I would say.
Yeah, I was gonna. So one last thing to piggyback on that, like it's really interesting for us to tell people that we are a thing, right? Like you run a business, you are a musician, you are I sell head wraps, I do whatever. It's one thing to say it, but in talking about like those business relationships and connections, like to have people who see it in you, because Stone is like, oh well, I mean you call me successful, that's cool, but I'm not that. And it's like, it's really interesting that it's a really, really good thing. Thank God we cannot see ourselves like other people see us. Because then that would just make us all narcissists and like super weird. But when people can see a thing in you, then it's like they see a value in you, and it's not just to use you. When Anneke started Rap Wednesday, she started Rap Wednesday online because she saw a video from some sisters out of state, some young junior high school kids that wanted to wear head wraps, so their school wouldn't allow them to wear them. And so there was this whole big thing. And Anneke's like, well, posted the video. That's how I saw the video. And I was like, damn, that's really dope. So Anneke starts this, we're going to wear head wraps so the little sisters at the such and such junior high school or high school. And then Rap Wednesday became a thing in Arizona. And I was like, or just on her social media. And I was like, man, amongst her friend circle. And I was hanging out with all the young professionals back then because I was still a young professional. And so I was like, man, admiring her stance to just kind of step up, and then seeing the galvanization of community around that, I was like, yo, that's pretty dope. And I remember reaching out to Anneke saying, yo, well, why don't you come and do Rap Wednesday at Poetic Soul? Like, that would be super dope. The ladies are coming through anyway, and this was even before she started her story. So she had like made a couple head wraps for some people, but it wasn't a business yet. And then to see it like flourish. So again, it is a very important thing to stay in motion with your business and around what you're doing, because other people can see value in that. And then they can help to add value and help to improve. So that's a part of that relationship building and connecting.
I remember what I was going to say, and I forgot it on purpose apparently because I needed y'all to finish that. Because what I'm about to say pretty much pulls from everything that all of y'all have said of just showing up. Yeah. Like at its core of just showing up as who you are, not allowing people, we do not follow up, right? We do not follow up, we don't follow through, we don't say what we're gonna do, right? People showing up late, people flaking out at the last minute and not showing up for you. When you show up for people in all of your authenticity, in all of your integrity, with an intention to help the community, people are gonna show back up for you. I officially registered this business in September. I popped up, Dom hit me out the blue. One of the first poetry events I ever did was for Dom. Dom hit me out the blue to do a this or that episode for I Am Rude. I don't get in front of nobody's camera, but I showed up because this is my guy. He showed up for me. I'm gonna show up for him. I pitched the idea for an event. He showed up for me. When I tell you the only reason any of y'all are here is because he posted on social media. Because don't nobody follow me on Instagram and I don't hardly use it. So the only reason
needs some
you're
support
here, okay, are because of this man right here. You know what I'm saying? And it's him showing up, right? Him showing up for me, showing up for each other, making sure you're following up with people. If you met that person, they had that good energy, these people stayed connected. They grew together. They bounce opportunities off of each other, right? They're growing and building their brand and their wealth as a community. That crabs in a bucket mentality is what is keeping us down. As a Black person in this community, when there's still a wide open gap for Black spaces out here, still a wide open market for Black spaces out here. When you're the person in the community who shows up, who calls back, who responds to the text, responds to the email, you're already 10 steps ahead. Because these people are like faces that people know. Like they know that these people are going to do what they say they're going to do. They're going to be about their business, right? So they get in the business. You know what I'm saying?
You know what the secret sauce is also to that another layer, like just like cherry on top of that? People like there are people secretly who may not say it, but they're like, Dom and Q, like they like each other. Like I like both of them. Like they do events. They're not like, oh, where are we doing events? I'm doing events. Right. They like each other. So if Dom and Q do some things together, they're like, yo, I gotta show up. Like Ashton and Q are cool. So they like it when like people like each other. They like people that they look up to, business owners, entrepreneurs, pillars in the community in whatever capacity. People like it. They're like, yo, they're not being weird.
Two saxophone players playing together.
Exactly.
We ain't competing.
Let me tell you. No weird stuff. Wait, were you gonna say something? I apologize.
I was just saying it's odd.
Oh, you just okay, got it. Okay, so my bad. Collaboration is what it is. That's really what it comes down to, and you know all about that. Like it's a whole branding part of the whole branding of Poetic Soul. You know what I mean? So, I remember being a kid. Like, I grew up. You know, I was born '91, so like I grew up. You know, like I was really sheltered, but every so often I'd catch like a music video sometimes, and you know it'd be a little boring to me because I wasn't really immersed in like the full culture of music videos and stuff. I love music, but I listen for like the sounds, not even you know. But when I started getting into like lyricism and rap and stuff, I was like maybe like 11, 12, just enjoying people's voices, just the phoneticism of like language, and that goes beyond the specific languages verbal languages that we speak, like also just sounds in general. That's how we communicate, right? I remember my favorite era of music was the era when the remix was better than the original. Okay, and it wasn't just because like it wasn't just the producer that redid everything. Sometimes the producer didn't do anything except for just re-chop the beat, but it was because some of the mega remixes that had like 17 people on it, you know what I mean? Everybody had like 4 bars real quick, but it's like, oh shoot, like they put, what's his name on here? They put D-Max on this one, and Mary J. Blige is on this too, you know? And Papoose from, what do you, that's so, you know? And then like you go home, you find the version that's not the video, you find out that freaking Neo's on it, Lil Wayne's on it, and T-Pain's on it, and all these random people, Justin Timberlake's, you know, just random stuff like that. But just, I say that because that feeling of excitement, every one of you guys started smiling as soon as I said it. That feeling of excitement is what happens when you see 2 people or more than 2 people in different aspects, different points in life, different realms, different lanes, different complete streets, different avenues, different directions, come together and be like, let's create something different. Let's create a synergy, because like what synergy, like the sum of 2, I'm sorry, what is it? I forgot what the actual technical term is for it, but it's like when you 2 come together, you are worth more than the sum of you 2 separately, right? So I think I said that right, you know. But
we get it.
Listen, we don't know.
Okay, yeah,
Well, no, but it sounds
We don't know. It
I'm
sounds
looking for y'all.
good.
I'm looking for y'all. Like, is this right? Y'all like, yeah, okay.
No, to underscore that though, and like to
How you
give the
underscore?
example. Well, you all are going to underscore it. You all are going to underscore it. This is the power of like collaboration, because literally, Poetic Soul as a successful event now, like Ashton's band, the Color 8 band, was our original house band. Like we couldn't even hold an event because I'm like, we got a band without the Color 8. So Poetic Soul we had to get to the point where like we were holding shows with a band before the Color 8 stepped away to do the Color 8 thing. And then I was like, well, I got to find another band now. But if it wasn't for the Color 8, we would never have gotten to the point of like having to find another band to keep the thing going.
That is crazy.
Same thing with Anneke, like, bring Rap Wednesday here because I see value, but I saw I'm already bringing women into the space, sisters into the space. I'm like, yo, these sisters don't even know you, but they need to know you. They're going to love you because everybody loves you, because I love you, they're going to love you. And you can also like provide raps for them to educate them and to get them into this space and maybe feeling like there's a sisterhood here for them inside of Poetic Soul. And then her story didn't stay in the space of Rap Wednesday with Poetic Soul forever, because her story took off and she started doing some other things, and it was like, okay, cool, but I still have this foundation of sisters who feel more connected and more together because of that collaboration. So you all are underscoring the point of collaboration.
I know that's right.
That is
Powerful.
true.
That's like it's dope.
That was a beautiful. That was
To underscore your underscore.
Bye.
No, for real. Okay, so
I think we on question number 3. I think as far as we had. Just on number 3, ain't we?
we still, all right, okay. This one's quick, I promise. I promise it's quick.
No, it ain't.
You lying.
The first,
Right.
the first time I remember really playing, ironically, with Stone was at either the first or second Poetic Soul. And I remember he walked in, and he still says that we met before that, and I believe you. But that's what I remember is the Poetic Soul moment, because you walked in and you had a saxophone. I'm like, oh shoot, there's another saxophonist here, because I was still kind of like new to the area, new to the community. But then he put out a saxophone. I'm like, okay, bet. I'm hoping maybe I can learn something or whatever. Maybe we'll see. Or maybe
we played on PK's zone.
Yeah, we did. And
Let's
then
ride.
we extended it.
Right.
And oh my God, I still remember the lick that we played, that we were harmonizing just naturally by ear. And I'm like, this is the best feeling ever. Oh my God, like so.
Right.
It's just it's literally
That
all.
was only your
cyclic.
second show?
It was the second one. Yep.
I had no idea.
Yeah. Yep. I just had to say that. So it's still all right here. It's just funny.
No, that's super powerful. I have a couple more, but I wanted to throw it to anybody in the audience. If you had any particular questions for the panel, feel free to throw them out.
I got a question for anybody who wants to answer. Mental breaks. What do you do, and how do you do it?
Oh, I want to answer that.
Especially when you're on go and you're the only one that's doing it.
I think, so what I learned in business and just in life in general, but definitely just with business, is because you'll want to chase the dollar until you just really run yourself into the ground. And what happens when you do that is your body will shut you down. And it's more expensive to have your body shut you down than to just rest. And I think business owners really need to factor in self-time and self-care and rest. Like, it is okay to not go to an event. It is okay to not have a conference call. It's okay to take a day and not do anything. Like, it is perfectly okay. A lot of people make it seem like it's a lazy mentality. But no, it is self-care, self-preservation. It's good for your mental health. Like, on my self-care, because I went into a full depression with working. Because it's just like you're working, and then you'll find yourself looking up, and it's just like, what the fuck have I even been doing, this entire time? And then you may not even be financially where you want to be. But now you crying, and you don't know why. So it's just like, it's very important. And then with that, when you take a moment to just rest, it helps your business, because now you've had a mental break. So now you can see things that you need to do. You can focus on things. So like for me, I don't do a damn thing. And I'm putting the phone on D&D. I'm not taking a consultation call. I'm not doing anything, because I tell a lot of my friends now, and like my mentees, like, don't get caught up in hustle culture, because it will have you so messed up in the long run. And rest. That's why I love, have you heard of the Nap Ministries? So it's an installation in Atlanta, and she literally just puts places up for people to nap, for people to rest.
That's bomb.
People to rest. Also, Kimmy has retreats, and the girl told me, one of the girls that went, she was like, I just went and it was just so calming that I just slept. You can just go in there and do whatever you want to do, but I find it important to definitely get your schedule together. Make sure that your whole life is not wrapped around your business. So if that means, you need to take a day off, maybe it's 2 days off, maybe you can't do 2 days, maybe you need to go on Fiverr, because you can get you somebody for $10 on Fiverr to do something, and don't be. And I think another thing, what kind of had me in shambles when I first started, as far as like the rest and stuff, I felt like I was just too emotionally tied to business, and I had to separate that. So now I have like a shirt that says "There's no feelings in business" or whatever. But definitely rest. Definitely take time for yourself and do the things that you want to do. Don't lose focus of the other things that you love in life and who you are trying to chase money. Because what'll happen is money is going to come. People are going to come if you have a good product, if you're doing what you're supposed to do. So by all means, because you'll look up and be raggedy. You'll be raggedy looking like, and then all of them places and all of the people and all of that, they're not going to be there. You're going to be in the trenches. Oh my God, I just want to soak all the way down because I was done.
Yeah.
Not resting or anything. No, don't get caught up in hustle culture. That's what I could just tell people. Like, the money is going to come. You don't have to work every single day. The whole point of being an entrepreneur and being the CEO is to have freedom. Why are you tied to this? Every single day? No, absolutely not.
Yeah, so keep it in perspective, like why you're doing a thing, right, is important.
Yeah.
But that goes back to that structure, understanding like, you know, how to structure your business and what your aim is, which Tarai was talking about when I walked in. However, for the mental break aspect, like taking a mental break or the importance, listen, I feel like everybody should be able to relate to this. I don't care where this video feed goes, like, or this video footage goes, today, tomorrow, years from now. Because everybody who's alive lived through like COVID, this period where the whole world shut down, there was not a lot of movement. And so I can remember people reaching out to me saying like, yo, man, this must be really hard on you. It's Wednesday. What are you doing? How are you holding up? I know you're used to doing this thing around all these people, and man, this must be horrible for you. I was like, what?
I love it.
I'm in my fucking bed, bro. I'm cool. I'm like, bro, I needed a break.
Man.
I needed a break. I needed some time to just kick back and relax. So outside of COVID, for me, I was literally just having this conversation with my lady this morning. I'm like, she's like, what are we doing right now? I'm like, we're laying in bed. It's 11:30. You want to get up and go get something to eat because I got this thing at 1. So if we're going to get lunch, we got to get it now. Like, I have carved the life that I want. Absolutely. So my schedule is my schedule. So if I don't feel like doing anything, I don't have to do anything. Typically, Thursdays for me, after a night of Fort Soul, I sleep in. I have to. I need to recharge from the night prior so that I'm not, like, I schedule nothing for the morning of Thursday. I'm going to be no good going to anything Thursday morning. I'm burnt out from last night. I have nothing. I'm showing up like, what's up, what y'all did? They're like, yeah. I'm like, I ain't got it. I left it on stage last night. What you need? Give me coffee. Give me 5-hour energy, something. And so the importance of resting, you know, and understanding what your limits are important. Like, what's your limit? Like, what do you need for yourself? The business is always going to be the business. Your work, your passion, your purpose is always going to be your work, your passion, your purpose. But you can't serve your purpose if you are exhausted. You'll get more out of yourself by taking a break, taking care of yourself, and then getting into the purpose, getting into the work. So finding some ritual that works for you, whether it's napping, whether it's meditating, whether it's numbing out. Just, you know what I mean? Numb out, watch TV, or engage in your favorite activity. Taking a break from things. You watch people do this thing all the time where they say, hey y'all, I'm gonna be getting off of social media. I'm gonna take a social media break for 30. You don't have to announce it. Yeah. Let's get off social media. I've gone looking for Anneke in the burnout phase. I pulled up at Seth's house. Her skin was broke out. Her hair, she had cut the locks off. I said, what happened to the locks? What are we doing? We doing locks or we not doing locks? Like, what's going on, Seth? Need a hug. You know what I mean? Like, what's going on? So there are times when we just need to take a break. You just need to separate yourself from all the crazy, like, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. You don't have to do anything, but you need to be healthy. So you need to find a space for yourself to calm, chill, get back to center so that you can be good for whatever area that your life needs you for.
Absolutely.
I love that. And I create space before you need to take space. Care for your body and your mind and your spirit before you need to save them.
Because it's a big difference.
Yes.
Because if you, that's what happens in any space where anything needs to be saved, would have been prevented, whether we lack the knowledge or the intention or whatever, it would have been prevented if we would have been able to care for the thing that now you're using. Apply that same thing to yourself.
I love that.
You can't afford to not rest is what I'm hearing is that you should make it a part of your business model, your business operation, your structure
Yeah.
to keep the business going to rest.
Right.
Don't wait.
I live by my calendar. I gotta put
Yeah.
self-care, take a break on my calendar
Yeah.
with a 15-minute reminder, this is coming up. That's what I do.
Think about it. You know, anybody have like social anxiety or whatever? Anybody? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So you guys get it. So you know. Okay. Social media is getting a little low. I
Yes,
can still stay
social
until
media.
it's done. I gotta go. Or I can say my pleasant goodbyes right now and just like, all right, I'll see y'all later, and you can dip, and you still got your energy, but it didn't go too far, so you don't have to burn out when you get home. You can just get home, be like, okay, let me make something nice and some tea, or let me just go sit in the grass or something, whatever.
Yep.
Because if
Go
you
sit
wait
in
until you're
silence.
burnt out to rest, you're not. What is the rest really? It's just getting you back to where you're barely able to be like, okay, I
Share
can
it,
make it
too.
now again.
Oh yeah, that he just.
No.
Right.
And it's really bad business because when I had my burnout, like Cosmic said, like a lot of people were looking for me. People were looking for me.
I'm telling you, I had to pull up. I was like, yo, what's good, bro?
Man,
You all right?
people see me. I was bald. My locks was gone. Like they was just like, "What is going on?" They're like, "We can't get in contact with you. Like, what's happening?" And also on the flip side of business, people was ordering. Oh, they wasn't getting no orders. I wasn't sewing a wrap. I wasn't sending out a wrap. I would literally go in there and refund them. Here, you could just have it. I don't even want to be bothered with that because I was just so tired and so just mentally unstable at the time that I was like, I can't do shit. The only thing I was doing at the time, I think I was going to like my job. And they'll be like, well, we haven't seen you on social media. You know, someone gonna cuss you out. You know, some of the friends is just like, I have not. What are you doing? And I'm just like, at home like this. I'm not doing nothing, eating and drinking. So like that, and that's what I'm saying. It's so much more costly because it took a long time after that to just build my reputation back. Because, you know, people online, you know, people going to leave reviews. I haven't got my wrap. She refunded me. I don't know what's happening. I've been emailing her. I've been doing all of these things. And I'm just like, man, fuck them wraps. I don't care what's going on. But, and I was just so burned out from because I think people pay you for a service, especially when, because I will be wrapping their heads. And even now, I have to move around. I have to engage. I have to talk to people when I'm shooting. I have to, be bubbly in the emails. And, people give you a couple $100, but it's so much energy that you have to give out. So it's just like you have to find time to get back in alignment with yourself. And also, don't do nothing you don't want to do.
That part.
That is the most important part.
Don't do nothing you don't want to do. One of the biggest things, because my not resting had me in therapy. I'm trying to tell you, I'm just trying to really sew it into you so you understand. So even in therapy, she was just like, you don't want to say no? You need to learn how to say no and not care. So now it's just like, now I don't want to do this. I can miss that $300 if I want to because I just don't want to do it. Because your mental stability is just so much more important than the dollar. Having money is great. But you being together and whole is just so much more important. It's so important as a business owner, especially if you're going to be getting out the mud and doing everything yourself. Make sure you take time for yourself. And then I'm going to get your Instagram and I'm going to be in your DM like, did you nap?
Yeah.
And I'm going to add on that. Please.
Did you take a nap?
I'm going to add on that for the spiritual people in the room because so if you experience this burnout, you don't rest, you don't take care of yourself, you're operating, you're vibrating on the frequency of lack. You're telling spirit, you're telling universe that this is all I can get. I gotta get this. Like, this is all I can get, right? So if you are vibrating on a frequency of I've already commanded this into my life, and this is already mine. Like she said, I don't have to take that. Nothing.
No, I don't do nothing I don't want to do.
That's not of my purpose. That's not in alignment with my purpose.
Right.
And I can say no.
And I want to I'm glad you add the spiritual element because I think that's a big piece too, right? Your faith is going to make a difference on where your stability is.
It does.
And a lot of times, because the reality is, I love people, but it's a love-hate relationship, right? Because people can be the biggest drain on you, and there's certain people that, we all have different levels of relationships, right? There's everybody that you see is not your friend. Everybody that's on Instagram is not your friend. Most of them probably aren't. And so you need to be able to categorize them and determine what are your boundaries for these certain people, because, and you know some of the people I know. So, and at a point I had to say, you know what, they are who they are. The expectations that I have for them, I gotta let that go, because it's stressing me out. It ain't stressing them out, so it's stressing me out. And so I have to establish, okay, this is how they're around when they're around, and I need to figure out how am I gonna be okay even in spite of, and I'll offer what I can offer when I can offer it to them, and not always be available. I mean, what social media has put us to be on all the time, and it's like, well, at some point I just can't be on. But the sad thing is when people have you in a certain category, they expect you to be on all the time. They're like, look, you know, I might not cuss you. I might not cuss you out loud. Okay, but there's like, I'm a human too, and so there's certain things that, look, you done pushed this beyond the expectation of any human. And so you need to be able to realize that if you don't control what that boundary is yourself, they're not going to do it for you, and you can't have the expectation. And sometimes I wish that I had this kind of community, because I don't think I have. And sometimes the people that are following, I literally almost died twice last year. That I was literally in the hospital, and they were like, "You're losing blood, and we have no idea why you're losing blood." And so this is serious. We don't know what's going on, and I'm like, I need to get to a gig. My mother said, I was really sick. I was seriously sick. I'm going like, it was your gig.
Yeah.
It was the gig for the wedding.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yes, I remember.
I've never had a gig that was gonna pay this much. I'm like, and I literally started crying because I got out of the hospital. I couldn't lift up the amp, and it was like, I don't have control of my own body.
Yeah.
I'm about to pass out. I had to ask the wedding planner to lift up the amp to put in the car because I just had no strength. They were like, you got to gain your blood back. You don't have enough. You shouldn't be out doing this. And it helped me realize, like, look, life is way too short to be trying to tackle everything else because of everybody. I had to give a gig back to Ashton because she ended up not going on tour. But
Divine timing is crazy how that worked, but yes.
But nonetheless, it's like, I didn't have necessarily the cause, but it was my faith that helped me. And then my mother is a staple for me. I ain't gonna lie.
Your mother is so sweet.
Yeah, I mean, I call my mother every day. And so the thing is having that kind of level of relationship. Find somebody to have a relationship with that's gonna check on you and you check back on them, because
that's real.
That's key. That's gonna help your mental.
Absolutely.
I know you got somebody. So having somebody that you can rely on.
And
that make a difference.
That lacking frequency, that stress frequency, whatever you're claiming is delaying it. You know what I'm saying? And so I just being really proactive.
Yeah, that'll have you ready to nuck. That was me. Anything. Suppose somebody send me an email, I'm ready to fight. Why? Why am I mad because they want my product?
Hey, are you available for?
No, fuck you. I'm tired.
Ready to take your phone.
And also for content, just batch it. I don't know why people don't batch it. This is not why we're here. What is the next question? I will go on a social media tangent.
Oh, that's my question about content. Cause especially Ashton, I be like, bro, every time I get on social media, your face is popping up on my timeline. And then I'm like, and it's not like, it don't look like quality where it's just like, oh, here y'all go. It's like, no, you can tell he took his time with it and he put effort into it. And I be like, all right, so how you be getting all this content, just like getting this content out, but also keeping your mind together? Because my mind be like, hey, we ain't put no content out. And then it be like, all right, well, let me try to put some content out. Hey, this content ain't good enough. Okay, well, look, now, I finally did the content. Hey, you gonna do it on Friday, or you gonna do it at 12 o'clock on Tuesday? Because at 9 o'clock, you in class, so that's the time when Instagram wanna mess with the algorithm. So it's just like, how do y'all deal with, content, period?
That's a great question. Please, I'm listening.
Okay. Y'all mind if I start this since you just, okay. Is that good with y'all? Yeah, we good? Okay. Okay, so I used to struggle a lot with content.
Thank you.
Yeah, please. And without getting into all the details of everything, in 2021, I was like, fuck it, I'm about to, I started creating these, just instead of like long ass videos of like where you're doing a full cover, I started doing I thought of little funny things to do with my saxophone, and I'm like, to like famous songs that everybody knows. I decided doing it, I'd do like 3 of them in a day. And that way, cause at first I started off, I was like doing I do 1 in a day, and then I posted that day, and I'd wake up early next morning and post it by like 2 or whatever, but that's not the way to do it. And I'll tell you how I work, and then I'll tell you how I did work, and then I'll tell you what I learned is smartest to do. So after a while, I learned, okay, so each day that I get up to do content, I'm not just gonna get up and do 1 video. I'm gonna get up and do like 3 of them.
Exactly.
Maybe 4, maybe 2. If I only have strength to do 1, okay, yesterday I did 3 though, so I'm okay, right? I remember I did a video, I think 5 out of 7 days, I posted a video for about 3 weeks straight. And I remember by the 2nd week, my stuff just blew up because consistency. And also one of them hit because people, I was doing different genres of music, just whatever. You're just doing whatever you can, And I also made sure that not only the visual was good quality, but the audio had to be. Because of my lane, my main thing is music. I want to show you, hey, I can play the saxophone. I don't want it just to sound like, I just put my phone there and then that's it. No, I had the actual audio going through my computer too. And some people do it without the professional audio and it can still sound good because they know how to do the spatial stuff with the sound and everything or whatever, but I made sure mine was going through the motherfucking computer. Right. Okay? And after a while, I had to, okay? But after a while, I got to a point where I didn't have to do it every single day anymore, right? And honestly, there's a point in time when I still should have been, and I learned that the hard way later too, but it was because of that I got to where I am now. And to this day now, I try not to put too much focus on flyer stuff. Sometimes I'll just post my face, but hey, what's up, y'all? And it's not fake. I'm genuinely what's up? How y'all doing? Hey, this is where I got my flowers in my hair. Hey, this is me just smiling, saying hi to y'all. If you want to know what's going on, swipe left or right or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And if not, then you got to smile. And eventually you're going to scroll up and you're going to see the second slide because I know how the algorithm works, right? But that's me being a person who at one point did not have the money to hire somebody else and eventually got to a point where I did have it, but then at that point I learned how to do everything myself. But a lot of the inspiration that I got, if I'm being really honest with you, when it comes to content creation, I think I used to watch a lot of what Anneke would do when she was doing stuff for half of people. Just genuinely speaking, because you I know
you're inspiring people.
Yeah, I remember because what you were doing yeah, look, I'm
I know.
No, I'm playing. No, but because you were doing content shoots for people, weren't you? You know what I mean? When you were doing that, I'm like, that is smart. And I don't got the money for it right now, but that is smart. That is really smart. And I would try to share it whenever you did it or whatever. But that's, if you don't have the energy to do it all by yourself, just get it. Honestly, photo shoots are so helpful for whatever business you're in. Whatever business, even if it's not whether it's a super high level crazy professional or just you with your phone in a room with good lighting. But if you have somebody to curate it though,
good lighting.
If you have somebody to curate it that knows what they're doing, that's how you know. I had to learn the lighting shit by myself, because I was broke for a while. You know what I mean? And let me tell you though, watching, I'm not just trying to sing your praises just to do it, which I would.
But you could.
But I am. But that's not why though. I'm doing it because I'm gonna want to highlight you regardless because you are a successful black woman. But I'm absolutely highlighting you because you are still one of the best to do it. So yeah, if you don't have the energy to do all of it by yourself, please find somebody like Anneke, seriously, and she'll, at the very least, hire for 1 or 2 things, and then you'll get the idea of it. You know what I mean? So success leaves.
Yeah, I think that don't even have nothing to do with one of my, because I was about to go in. because when I started Her Story, I literally did everything myself. So at the time, in order to have like this, I realized with Instagram that people will watch your story before they come and they actually like a post on the page or actually follow you. So they started offering the scroll up feature, but it was only for people that had 10K followers. Could you scroll up and just go right to the website via a link? So I was like, shit, I need that scroll up. So I think within like the first probably like 6 months, I got to 10K. And it was just because I was very consistent. It was before I was a photographer, so I don't even know if the quality was good or not, but it was a tutorial. I was sharing everybody's stuff. I'm like, send me pictures, send me something. But I think now with social media, a lot of people get very caught up with what other people are gonna think. I think the easiest thing to do is definitely if you have a product, because I guess we all have a product in here, we're trying to sell some type of service, is to definitely always showcase that, but do it in a way that is extremely comfortable for you. Because you'll see a lot of people on social media dancing and they doing all these things and they, I don't know what the hell they be doing at this point. Because what will happen is trends will take you away from what your business actually is. So always do what is comfortable for you. Circle it back always to your business.
Yes.
I don't care if you're doing a TikTok dance and then somebody throw the product in your hand. Boom, this is what I'm selling. And then also for just peace of mind, batch your content. Take maybe 2 days out of the month and create all of the content that you want to do. So, okay, you're tired. You're over it. But now you have all of the content that you need so you can post consistently. Everything is cohesive and plan it. So maybe take 1 day to plan. This is what I want to do. Think about your captions. Think about what emotion that you want to evoke. Like, are we selling? Are we going to give some coupons? Like, what are we doing? And then shoot that shit 1 day. 1 day. And it's also because, a lot of us, for women and stuff like that, we want to get our makeup done. We want our hair done. And it's also more cost effective. I got my hair done once. And I shot all of this content. And for me, I was giving away free shoots because one thing I don't like is blurry pictures. I hate that shit. But I think you should just batch the content, and I think it's important. Also, let me get serious, because I manage like people's social media and stuff like that now, and it's very important once you get comfortable with the content that you want to post. It's extremely important to pay attention to your audience so that you always speak to them. So be comfortable in what you're doing, but make sure that it is to your audience. And I think a lot of people are so focused on the follower count, because I know a lot of businesses that are like micro Instagram accounts, and they doing numbers. They are doing numbers because they're consistent, their content looks good, and they're just doing what is just very natural to them. And also pay attention to those fucking numbers on Instagram because they matter. Pay attention to your algorithm. If you need to post at 9 o'clock, post that shit at 9 o'clock. Don't fight it. I think a lot of people just be fighting it. I don't want to do this shit. I don't want. It's the wackest attitude to have, because social media is just such a big platform for us to make money on now. And an Instagram reel is a mini commercial. Businesses just pay millions of dollars for a commercial on TV. You have thousands of people that can see your business. Do the fucking content or hire somebody to do it for you. But don't be stressed out about it. Don't be stressed out about it. If you're getting stressed out, we could talk. Because you got to take naps and you need help with content. So we're going to talk after the thing. But yeah, I think that one thing about me is I love social media. I love that shit. I'm always on there. So, it was just innate for me to just start getting paid for it. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, bitch, what else you going to do? But I really love it. But I study it. You know what I'm saying? Study your audience, speak to your audience, batch your content so you're not burnt out. Done. That's it. Y'all owe me. I think y'all owe me a little money for that.
Okay, well, give me a little slice. Now we even.
As we wrap up, I just want to make sure no one else has anything they want to throw out to the group.
I just want to say the conversation's been fire. I feel like my brain is like overly stimulated because it's hard when you don't really have like people who understand that are close to you, like entrepreneurship and whatnot. So definitely learned a lot, and it's just like cool to be able to like actually relate. You know what I mean? To what we go through. So
I have one comment. I just respect everybody in this room. I love what we're doing as a city, because we do have a true, community. We have everybody playing their role, and even when you look at the comparison between like a Phoenix or Atlanta or Miami or wherever, what's unique about Phoenix, is just our creation rate. Like, we create a lot. And I think that's another thing that we also get caught up in. Same with me, like, I'll create something and then after 36 hours, I'm like, nah, that's old. No, that's old, because I'm creating the way that I speak. Like, I could talk all day. But I think what we're doing as a collective is just a cool thing, because we're able to do this creatively. I look at what Q's done over the years. I remember way back in the day when we were sitting watching another event. I want to say it was like a Valentine's Day open mic or something like that. And he was talking about, hey, this is what you need to do. You need to go to bed, and this is what I'm gonna do. He was sharing some things that he was gonna do.
Before
Q, this is Q with the natural,
Exactly.
before the lock. But this is before
Clean
our
cut.
lounge, and I'm like, I know he's gonna
Little
do
head,
it.
big head.
I knew he was gonna do it, but it's just awesome that we're all a collection of people from different places with these different perspectives and different ways to go get it. And this is, yeah, I love to see it. I love to see it.
Yeah, I would say find like spaces of where like other entrepreneurs are. I mean, they are like spaces like the networking event that we were at a couple weeks ago, and things like that. Like, there are places where you can get together and just kind of bounce ideas off of people and just even share conversation. And even if it's making new friends, you know, in spaces, I feel like, again, to relate this back to Poetic Soul, the way that I build community inside of that space is I kind of force people to talk to other people. I'm like, yo, look at your neighbor. That came from church.
Of course it did, yeah.
Right? It's like, look, say to your neighbor, hey neighbor, you know. And I was like, well, we encourage you to come into this environment and have a good time. I want you to turn the people around you into family members, friends, hiking buddies, etc. So it's important, especially as an entrepreneur, to do the same thing. Find some hiking buddies, you know, some sparring partners, so to speak. You know what I mean? Not hiking buddies specifically, but just like another person who's in business, like I'm in business. And then you'll find that there's a little network of like individuals who are grinding to get to the top also. And then that way you have somebody who at least you can share common conversation with and have these kinds of talks with, and somebody whose success you can also chart, because even though you're becoming successful gradually through certain steps, or as time passes because you're staying in motion, you can't see your success like I can see your success. But you can see my success different than I see it. So my friends will stop, like Drew does this to this day. Anytime Drew comes to town, he stops me at Poetic Soul when I'm just doing my thing. He's like, yo. I'm like, yo, what's up? He's like, bro, look. I'm like, look at what? He's like, look what you did. It was like 20 people in the room at first. Now it's like hundreds of people. I'm like, yeah. And I'm back to doing it. because my purpose is different. I'm moving, but other people can see you different than you can see yourself. So it's good to have people around in your journey as you journey along. Yeah. And then you'll be able to naturally give back to some other person and say, I remember I was you. Let me, come here.
Join the mailing list is what he just said. He said join the mailing list for Connect Consulting Solutions. We'll be hosting 2 network happy hours a month. You know, sharing events from lovely people such as these.
Listen, because I ain't coming out if it's after 8. I'm going to just let y'all know right now. If it's after 8, I'm not going to be there. I think
I'm going to come, and I'm going to be early, but it's because I might not be there at all.
I think my two things I want everybody to leave with. Okay? And I just want you to listen to this. I just want you to listen to this.
Because you said everybody. So
the 2 things are, do not get into the mentality of that you can do everything yourself, because you cannot. That is really coming from a place of survival and a place of being broke. That is a broke person's mentality. I could do everything myself. You cannot. My second thing is, I think I forgot what my second was.
Don't be broke.
Don't be broke. Because we all started there. When you're like scrambling and doing everything yourself, oh, I can fix it, I can do it, I can push it, it's because you don't, because I was there, you don't have the money to hire people. So it's a broke survival mentality. Like, you could be there for a minute, but do not get stuck there. Allow people to come in and help you. And then when you do start making money, even if it's a little bit of money, start bringing people on because your team is going to help you scale. And we not doing business to just be like bootstrapping.
Period.
Don't do that. And I think the other thing, I can't think of what.
I would say ask for help is important.
Definitely ask for help. So like that was the thing, and I can't remember the second thing that I was going to say. Maybe it wasn't important.
Well,
Don't say that.
Can I say, I'm Freeman. I'm from St. Louis. My party's on your table.
I know that's right.
Coach. Things come full circle. I met this lady at a vendor event months ago, and I moved and I lost her number. And I was in survival mode. I did not want a job. I got a job. I met her and she dipped off, like within a week or two.
Listen, because I'm not about to deal with shit I don't want to deal with.
Well, look, so, and I had already planned on connecting with her. I seen her work, photography and all that, and she just happened to host this event. And I called off work today to be here, and I didn't even know she was gonna be here. So when I walked in and seen her, I lost her card.
Dang.
So just the way this just came back
That is
around,
full
I'm
circle.
so appreciative.
Because honestly, anybody that messes with Dom is good people.
Yeah, that's right. We all agree with that.
Oh my God. When he messaged me, I'll be like, hold on, what he got going on? Let me look at my challenge.
Every time.
So like these conversations, okay, right? Because I'm looking for this type of community with these type of conversations. But I'm like, where is it at, or am I just not in it, or are you guys creating?
That's
this
welcome to I Am Root, the brand and events. Like Dom curates like really, really incredible spaces for the community. So it's like, again, it's a skill set of like, through observation, because success leaves clues, having good or great people around you and yourself surrounded by great people, because then you get a chance to kind of see what they do, and you also get to benefit from their greatness. So yeah, Dom's like a master connector, and so we all appreciate it. I feel like I know everybody in this room, maybe with the exception of you, because of Dom. Like you, I met just because
That's how I met Stone on Sex, because I was hosting the event.
I met all y'all because of it.
Right, that's what I mean.
I started playing for real because of it.
Ashton took me to my first.
Yes, I did. I brought you to the first after we killed the show.
After we killed.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, that's gonna conclude the panel. I definitely want to thank you all for like joining. It's been a huge like achievement for us to collaborate, Taraya and I, with her brand, to be able to bring you all here and have these conversations. Part of what we do for I Am Root is really trying to push the envelope and have those conversations, or create environments where people can truly be themselves and like understand what like the root of what they need to accomplish, has to be done. So let's give our panel a round of applause. We'll stop for a little bit, so if you guys want to have some one-on-ones or whatever before they get out of here, feel free to do it.
You're looking for the spaces. So that
Did you host the white party?
Right? Check in.
Did you host the white party? Which event?
I don't think I've had an event in a long time. I think the last event I had was like a Her Story Raps event.
You remember?
But you said you met me.
Oh yeah, I was hosting it.